Imagine a small town where nothing extraordinary ever seemed to happen. The streets were quiet, the people predictable, and every summer passed much like the one before. But one summer, 5 children discovered they weren't ordinary at all. This is their story, the story of the Children of Dawn. Lila was the first of them. A shy girl who spent most of her time sketching in a worn notebook. She saw beauty in everything. She loved drawing birds, trees, and animals she imagined in secret. But one afternoon she noticed something strange. The bird she had drawn flapped its wings and lifted off the page, circling her room before dissolving into sparks. Terrified, she slammed the notebook shut. But curiosity grew inside her. Ethan was her opposite. Bold, reckless, and always racing ahead of everyone else. He loved challenges, especially daring his friends to climb the highest tree or leap from the swings at full height. One day, when he misjudged a jump, he didn't fall at all. Instead, he shot into the air, screaming with both fear and excitement, before crash landing in a haystack. Ethan had discovered the gift of flight. Maya was quiet and thoughtful. She spent her time in her grandmother's garden, whispering to the flowers as though they were old friends. One morning, she touched a drooping sunflower, and before her eyes it straightened, blooming brighter than ever. Soon, plants bent toward her. Vines curled at her command, and blossoms opened with a touch. Her power was life itself. Caleb was the mischievous one, the prankster who never seemed serious about anything. But deep down, anger often simmered inside him, especially when people underestimated him. One evening, after a fight with his older brother, fire burst from his hands, scorching the wall. Caleb had the gift of flame, powerful, unpredictable, and dangerous. And then there was Noah, the youngest, small for his age, and often overlooked. Gentle and soft-spoken, he avoided conflict. But when a falling tree branch nearly crushed his little sister, Noah screamed, and an invisible force exploded outward, splintering the wood before it reached her. He had the power to shield and protect, a strength born from love. It all began on the last day of school. The 5 of them lingered at the playground, restless and curious about a strange light flickering in the distance. Drawn to it, they ventured into the woods until they reached a clearing. In the center stood a broken stone pillar, carved with glowing symbols none of them recognized. When their hands touched the stone, a surge of energy pulsed through them, and in that instant, their gifts awakened. Startled and afraid, they ran home, but they knew their lives had changed forever. The weeks that followed were filled with discovery. Lila tested her drawings, birds, butterflies, and even a paper tiger that prowled her room before fading away. Ethan soared higher each day, sometimes getting stuck in trees or crashing into rooftops. Maya brought wilted plants back to life and once turned her yard into a jungle overnight. Caleb, struggling to control his temper, left scorch marks everywhere he went. And Noah, frightened of hurting someone, hid his power, until a neighbor's dog charged at him, and a wave of force sent it tumbling back unharmed. One evening, while exploring, they heard a low growl. A wolf, larger than any they had ever seen, stepped from the shadows. Its eyes glowed unnaturally, and its teeth dripped with foam. It lunged. Caleb's fire erupted, driving it back. Ethan grabbed Noah and lifted him out of danger. Maya's vines whipped around the beast's legs, holding it in place. Lila, trembling, sketched a shield that rose before them, and Noah, closing his eyes, unleashed a shock wave that sent the creature fleeing into the forest. They stared at each other in disbelief. Their powers weren't just strange gifts, they were meant to protect. The next day, a stranger arrived, an elderly woman with silver hair who introduced herself as Seraphine. She gathered them at the pillar and said, "You've touched the stone of dawn. It chose you because shadows are awakening. Dark forces will test you. Alone, you will fail. Together, you may stand a chance." Though nervous, the children agreed to train. Seraphine became their mentor. Lila learned to make her creations solid for longer. Ethan practiced his landings, turning wild flights into graceful maneuvers. Maya discovered how to heal not just plants, but small wounds. Caleb channeled his anger into precision, shaping fire into spheres and streams, and Noah practiced until his barriers shimmered like glass domes, shielding his friends from harm. But whispers of fear spread through the town. Animals behaved strangely. Birds swarmed houses. Shadows moved without light. Seraphine warned them. A man named Kael seeks the stone's power. He commands the creatures of darkness. He will not stop until he has it. One stormy night, Kael appeared. Cloaked in black, his voice carried through the trees. Children playing with power they don't understand. The stone's gift belongs to me. The children stood together. Caleb hurled fireballs that lit the clearing in orange. Ethan dove from the storm clouds, striking fast and retreating. Maya slammed her palms into the ground, roots tearing through the soil to ensnare Kael's feet. Lila drew a lion, and it roared to life, charging into the shadows. Noah raised a barrier, deflecting blasts of dark energy that would have destroyed them. But Kael was strong. His shadows spread, swallowing the light. "You are only children," he sneered. "You cannot defeat me." Noah's voice shook, but he shouted, "Maybe alone we can't. But together, we're unstoppable." The five joined hands. Their powers merged into a blinding light. Fire, flight, life, art, and energy combined, forming a radiant beam that cut through Kael's darkness. With a scream, Kael vanished, the forest falling silent once more. Breathing hard, they looked at each other. Not as ordinary kids, but as protectors. Seraphine stepped forward. "You've won a battle," she said softly, "but the war is only beginning. The world is bigger than you know, and more shadows wait beyond this forest." The children didn't feel ready, but as they stood side by side, they realized something important. Whatever came next, they would face it together. From that day on, they were no longer ordinary children of a quiet town. They were the children of dawn, guardians of light, chosen to protect a world that didn't yet know it needed them. And sometimes, heroes aren't born. They are chosen, and when they rise together, even the smallest hands can shape the future.